The Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah, that's why I think that activities are really important for people. There's a lot of people that unfortunately don't engage in activity. They don't engage and they don't have hobbies.
Yeah, like
anything like that. Learn a language. Do something.
Well,
do something that's exciting.
You learn the art of learning. You know, the problem with our education system, Gore Vidal was saying this, is that it was that we don't have an education system that teaches you how to think.
Right.
We don't.
That's so true.
And that's there is an art to learning, man. There's an art to learning. There's an art to how.
It's an art to being a human being.
That's right.
It really is, and no one teaches us. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. We're all idiots raising other people with the same flaws that we were raised with.
There's no manual for it.
Exactly, and when you look at what we consider our source of education, as far as like what is distributed to us nightly, what's the news, right? I mean, that's really the education that people have today. Once you get out of school, unless you're reading books on your own, where are you getting your information about the world? You're getting it from the fucking news.
That's right.
Well, the news doesn't really represent what's A, going on in the world, and B, it doesn't say anything about how you should be dealing with this, how you should be thinking, how we should resolve these issues. It's like this tattletale that just goes running over and tells us about all the fucked up shit that's happening in the world, but it's not a dialogue with a person. It's like a source of information.
By the way, that complaint goes back at least 3,500 years. Socrates, when he was at his trial, said, you wouldn't take a horse to try to ride it and not train it. The same applies to a human being. You've got to start with the notion of, he was trying to teach philosophy in the sense that you better know what questions to ask throughout your life, and we should start with young people, educate young people the right way with the right questions. If you don't do that, then you've got to start with a base almost, and we don't do that, man. It's almost like learning jiu-jitsu, just learning moves without learning the principles behind it first.
Yeah, well, it's also like learning jiu-jitsu without going over the real correct drills. Like learning real live, applications and the way school is set up. You know it again, you motherfucker. The way school is set up, they have X amount of 1,000 kids, and they have to get these kids through with a basic understanding of the building blocks of our world. They have to understand math. They have to understand how to structure a sentence. They have to understand how to form paragraphs, and they got to know what happened in the past. And then you're off on your own. Good luck, fucker. Next stop, college. I saw quite a few of your videos online. They're really, really interesting conversations, and one of them that really struck me was there were several of them that struck me, but one of them was your story of being mugged, and you told people on an online room like where you got mugged, and people were upset that you, in telling the world that you got mugged there, it was lowering their property values.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it was one thing to get mugged, which is kind of freaky in itself, and whatever, shame and weirdness goes with that. But I guess what I was trying to do, I mean, deep down was probably elicit, love and affection from the people on my list. So I put up, and there was some social responsibility to it. So I put up where I got mugged because everyone should know this is maybe a dangerous stretch here. We got to maybe get a light. But, yeah, so I sent it out, and then the first 2 emails I got back from this loving list of parents was, how dare you say exactly where it happened? We live right across the street. You're going to lower our property values. I'm like, are you selling now? Is that? No, we're not selling, but it was a really weird time when people needed their property values to go up because they were trying to get bigger mortgages and pay down and do all that. And it was just so panicky there about that someone was afraid, what if a newspaper covers it and it's bad, and what if
It's so weird when ones and zeros trump humanity. And in that case, that's exactly what that is. That's ones and zeros trump humanity.
Well, yeah, and 2 kinds of ones and zeros. The ones and zeros of money, and the ones and zeros of digital technology, which I think can create a kind of a distance.
Because you're not feeling the impact of saying that to someone's face.
Yeah.
There's a weird communication that takes place online that's it doesn't have any consequence. You can do it anonymously, and it's like these barbs that you can just send out, and illogically, like in ways that you would never if you had to deal with someone one-on-one, because you would feel it. You would look at them, you would feel their response. You would be like, "Why are you saying this? Like why are you being such an asshole?" But because you are anonymous, so people are just like in this unnatural communication thing.
Right. But then the part that then worries me after that is if you get used to doing it like that in an anonymous way online, does that start to make the behavior a bit more normative when you're even with your identity?
I guarantee it has to. It has to. There's no free rides when it comes to that. I really feel like your thoughts, like there was always a thing. I remember when I was in high school, someone in my school newspaper wrote like a funny critique about the Boy Scouts, and one of the things that he didn't like about the Boy Scouts was that they wanted you to keep your thoughts pure. And he was like, well, my thoughts are my own thoughts. I'm just as long as I don't do anything, I don't think there's anything wrong with my thoughts.
Right.
I thought that was really smartly argued. I remember reading that, going, "Wow, this kid's pretty clever." But then I thought about it. I'm like, "But if you're thinking about creepy shit, you probably are kind of creepy." And it's not going to get any better. Just, you're just going to eventually, one day you're going to snap and then you're going to do something.
The creepy thing?
Yeah, if you really are like, I don't know, I mean, everyone has their own definition of thoughts being pure. Like a more lenient person might allow a lot of like healthy sexual things in the idea of thoughts being pure, as long as it's not creepy. But there's other people that would just sit around and say, well, let me just think about creepy shit all day and not do it, and I'm fine. But You're not. There's no free ride.
There may be, though.
You think so?
Well, I mean, what you're describing, is, the benefits of an absolute police state as long as it was always right.
Yeah, that's no problem. Right?
That's the problem. I mean, then you can always get your Minority Report, just in case maybe they're wrong.
I'm not really subscribing to that. I'm just saying that you really
It'd be nice.
You can't have really shitty thoughts and get through. And I think that if you're really shitty online, if you have those thoughts, even if it's only online, I really believe that negative energy is going to leak over.
Genuinely shitty. I mean, it's just how do you decide what's shitty and what's not. But yeah, no, it's people the meaner you are online without your face, the meaner you can be online with your face, and the meaner you can get in real life, until you just got mean people.
Oh, it is already? Yeah. What the fuck, son?